The Democrats, they seem to have no idea how to get their party back on track. According to Politico, Democrats know they have an authenticity problem. They just can't figure out what to do about it. I mean, Gavin Newsom, part-time governor, full-time podcaster, full-time Tweety bird, is trying to beat Trump. It's not working. One longtime Democratic strategist telling Politico, quote, "You have a bunch of Democrats who are very good at speaking a whole bunch of different languages, and human is not one of them." Ouch. And with the party in disarray, then you have socialists. Zoran, Marxist, Mamdani has emerged now as their new leader. Despite its communist rhetoric, the DNC has reaffirmed their support for the mayoral candidate, posting a Mamdani quote on X saying, quote, "We welcome anyone to join the movement." But as always, Trump is calling it like he sees it. Here's what he said about Mamdani yesterday.
Are you urging or encouraging any candidates in the New York City's mayor's race to drop out to clear the field?
No, I don't like to see a communist become mayor, I will tell you that. And I don't think you can win unless you have one-on-one, because somehow he's gotten a little bit of a lead. I have no idea how that happened, but I'd prefer not to have a communist mayor of New York City. And, you know, that's what he is based on his policy, if you look at his statements in the past.
Now, it's no secret there is a lot on the ballot in November, and not just New York City. In Virginia, the gubernatorial race, that is heating up. The lieutenant governor, Winsome Earle-Sears, is slamming her opponent's radical record on trans issues, like voting to allow men and women's sports and bathrooms and locker rooms, on top of her desire to have, oh, that's right, sanctuary Commonwealth status. Here with more. Virginia, Lieutenant Governor, Republican gubernatorial candidate Winsome Earle-Sears is with us. So Spanberger is pretty interesting because things have gone pretty well for the people in the Commonwealth under Glenn Youngkin and your leadership. And she seems to now want to take the party radical left, although she kind of is pulling back a little more than, say, a Mamdani. Are the people of Virginia, are they aware of her previous positions that are pretty radical?
Yes, because I'm making them aware of not just her positions, it's what she's voted for. She voted for sanctuary cities. We're not going to give comfort to the criminals who are illegally here. No, they have to go home. And as a result of working with President Trump, we have found over 4,000 of those folks who are illegally here, and we're talking about really bad folks. The number 3 MS-13 leader we found right here in Virginia, by the way, in my opponent's district. My opponent voted for open borders. Nothing about what she believes will keep us safe. And so that's why I'm appealing to the Virginia voters to say, elect me. We will stay safe. Our jobs will continue. Your taxes will be lowered. Your children will be safe, because we're not going to have biological men in girl sports or dressing full frontal nude in front of our girls.
You know, one of the things that's so interesting about the Commonwealth to me is early voting starts this month. When does it start?
Yes. Starts September 19th for an election in November. This is what the Democrats have given us, election season. That doesn't make any sense. And so you've really got to get all your message out before early voting starts. And, you know, she's got access to a ton of money. And here's the thing. So she might outraise me. Democrats usually outraise Republicans. But you know what we know how to do? Spend money wisely. This is not going to turn on money. It's going to turn on ideas that makes common sense. My opponent voted for stupidity. The people of Virginia understand common sense when they see it. It comes with me.
I tell the people in the Commonwealth, if you don't want to go backwards in a big way, pay attention and vote early. We appreciate your time, Lieutenant Governor. Thank you.
A resurfaced clip of Virginia's Democratic gubernatorial candidate telling supporters to let your rage fuel you sparked new backlash from her GOP opponent, amid warnings that such rhetoric is contributing to political violence, from the ICE facility shooting to the killing of conservative activist Charlie Kirk. Virginia Lieutenant Governor Winsome Earle-Sears shared the clip shortly after a gunman opened fire on an ICE facility in Dallas, showing Democratic gubernatorial opponent, former Representative Abigail Spanberger, offering an adage about letting your rage fuel you during a June political event. Rage. That's what Abigail Spanberger is calling for, Earle-Sears wrote on X. We've seen it with racist signs, cruel jeers, even cheering a father's assassination for daring to disagree, she added, appearing to refer to Charlie Kirk. Earlier this month, a protester at an Arlington event who was upset with Earle-Sears' opposition to transgender bathroom policies in Washington, D.C., Suburbs held up a sign that said if people cannot choose their own bathrooms, Earle-Sears, who is black, cannot share their water fountains. I'm asking for love, Earle-Sears said. Love for our neighbors and our Commonwealth. Because Virginia is for lovers, not rage, she added, name-checking the Commonwealth's iconic tourism slogan of 56 years. Spanberger, however, suggested her words were taken out of context. Abigail has and will continue to condemn comments that attempt to make light of or justify violence of any kind. Full stop, a Spanberger spokesperson told Fox News Digital.
We're joined by Congresswoman Abigail Spanberger, Democratic Congresswoman from Virginia. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Our Fox News power rankings have your race close, but leaning towards your side. Obviously, we have some weeks to go here. You've been running a lot of ads. If you're in Virginia and the TV market and you watch Wheel of Fortune or any local channel, you see a lot of your ads attacking your opponent on the issue of abortion. And I wanted to point to this Monmouth poll of America's issue priorities. What is driving people and their concerns? And abortion is starting to slip down in that list of issues. Inflation, crime, elections, jobs, immigration are higher there. Are you concerned that closing with abortion is maybe the wrong message?
Well, we're not closing yet with our television ads. We've got a couple more along the line. And right now we actually have an ad where I'm endorsed by a former colleague, a former Republican colleague, talking about the good work that I've done in the space of protecting our country, related to public safety, related to working in a coalition building manner. And we've also run ads highlighting what I've done to secure police funding for our communities, what I've done to lower the cost of prescription drugs, which certainly continues to be a challenge facing so many families. And so we are highlighting a variety of the issues in our race, my work to actually deliver results for the people of Virginia's 7th District. And we've got a couple more ads until we're done. So I do apologize to anybody in the DC media market for the onslaught, but it's incredibly important that people know about all of the work that I have done, and certainly why it is that I'm running for another term.
Well, your opponent, Yesli Vega, is obviously running her own ads. Here's a piece of one of them about your record.
When Pelosi wanted to spend taxpayer money that went to bail out golf courses, Spanberger voted yes. Stimulus checks to criminals? Yes again.
So basically the message is that you talk that you stand up to your party in certain issues, but that your voting record doesn't reflect that. How do you respond to that?
Well, unfortunately, these ads are incredibly misleading because the checks that we sent out to Americans across the country under the CARES Act, that was entirely bipartisan. And those support to individuals, that was entirely bipartisan in the creation of those stimulus, COVID rebate related checks. As it relates to the golf courses in Florida, that's because of abuses of local elected officials. We sent money to localities, to school boards, and to board of supervisors and city councils so that they could do things like pay first responders, police, fire, teachers, install new HVAC systems to keep their kids safe. And that's what the communities I represent use that money for, to actually respond to COVID, keep people safe, and keep their public employees paid. And some localities, such as in Florida, abuse those funds. And I've called for oversight because they absolutely abused a program meant to be wholly responsive to COVID.
Congresswoman, one of the things that you were trying to do was pass this Congress Act, Trust in Congress Act, to prevent members of Congress from day trading while on the job. That failed. And Speaker Pelosi talked about that, said that there was an effort to make a better bill. Are you mad about that?
The American people are mad about it. Chip Roy, Republican from Texas, and I have worked on this legislation since the early days of COVID. We put forth a bill straightforward. Members of Congress should not be selling individual stocks, put it in a blind trust, trade in mutual funds. But we should know, the American people should know, that a member of Congress is never leaving a classified briefing and calling their stockbroker. The Speaker put forth really a bill destined to fail. A very good option existed in the bipartisan one that Chip Roy and I have. We have more than 70 co-sponsors from across the country, Democrats and Republicans. And the Speaker has employed stall tactic after stall tactic in order to kind of keep delaying what's potentially a vote on any bill that would ban members of Congress from selling stocks, buying and selling stocks. And she put forth a bill that wasn't a good faith effort. I've been very clear on that. And I'm disappointed, but the American people are the ones who are mad about it. I hear about this across my district. It's a basic step we can take forward to demonstrate that we are deserving of the trust of the American people. And nobody should ever worry that we're leaving a classified brief and calling our stockbrokers. It's about perception. Right. It's about ethics reform. And we are not done yet. I am a broken record on this, and I will continue working and agitating for it until we get it done.
Obviously, your opponent says your party is in control to be able to get this through of the House and the Senate.
But here the Speaker, unfortunately, doesn't support it, which is why I will not and have not supported the Speaker.
Well, Congresswoman Spanberger, we appreciate your time. We'll watch this race really closely.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Abigail has a long record of working across party lines and ideologies to get things done, and she will continue to bring people together as Virginia's next governor. During the June event, Spanberger closed her speech with a story about once complaining about politics in front of her mother, who responded, "Let your rage fuel you. And so, Mom, I love you. I thank you for the sage advice. And to the rest of us, every time we hear a new story, we let it fuel us," she said. "Every time we turn on the news, we let it fuel us. Every time something bad is happening, we say, oh, that's motivation. Every time something happens in the world, in this country, coming out of Capitol Hill or coming out of this White House, we just say, boy, am I motivated today?" We write more postcards, we knock more doors, we make more phone calls. We tell more friends about the importance of this election.
It's a contentious race in a purple state. One election forecaster has moved the race from leans Democrat to likely Democrat, but it's a big but, though. A new poll actually finds Earle-Sears, the lieutenant governor, cutting into her rival Abigail Spanberger's lead by 10 points just since May. And so it's getting tighter. One key issue that is driving that shift: a fierce fight over biological men and boys and girls and women's sports in spaces like bathrooms and locker rooms. And the lieutenant governor, Earle-Sears, is calling out Spanberger for her stance on those transgender issues. The former congresswoman, though, is defending her record. Watch.
Nothing matters more to me than the safety of all our kids. And as a law enforcement officer, I went after child predators. So it really angers me to hear these lies about who I am. I believe we need to get politics out of our schools and trust parents and local communities.
Well, parents in Virginia's Loudoun County know that issue very well. Last month, 2 high school boys were suspended after they questioned why a biological girl was suing the boys' locker room. In focus now, Virginia Lieutenant Governor Winsome Earle-Sears, Republican candidate for the great state and Commonwealth, of Virginia. Great to see you. First of all, talk to me about this issue, because this is how Americans first kind of learned about this, conversation we were going to have nationally over boys and girls sports.
Yeah, so I wish that my opponent, Abigail Spanberger, will actually answer the question, because, she voted that our girls would not be protected because they would have to be nude in the same locker room as boys. This is unheard of, and yet she will not answer the question. My opponent is so radical that if the earth were flat, we would fall off of it because of her. She is so wrong for Virginia. She's an activist, and parents should know, because I've been fighting for them. I will fight for all children, not just Republican children, but independents' children and Democrats' children. It's a matter of privacy. We don't want sexual trauma in our girls, and by the way, in our boys either.
Education Secretary Linda McMahon is also weighing in on this. Let's watch together.
This is just common sense. Boys should not be in girls' sports, and vice versa, and in their private places where they are, because it is uncomfortable. And it is a violation of the law, and we are making sure that schools will abide by the law. And if they don't, then they do run the risk of, having federal funding pulled.
Loudoun County, where the locker room video was taken, is one of 5 Virginia districts that are currently facing that funding threat. And the counties you see on your screen right now are all defying the Trump administration's order to restrict bathrooms and locker rooms by biological sex. Now, how does that even work out for them? I mean, they're in financial trouble, and they're trying to defy the White House.
So parents have responsibility for their children at all times. And unfortunately, you have these rogue school boards, Harris, as you've rightly pointed out, who are making trouble for parents by being divisive. And what we're saying in Virginia, what I'm saying is that we cannot afford to have her, because these are the policies she's agreed with. I mean, this is at a time when our girls, especially, they're just coming into their bodies. They're trying to find themselves, and they have issues, with who they are. And now my opponent has voted and supported, of course, that they must be nude in front of biological boys. And by the way, also she has voted to have these biological men in girls' sports. Now, as an adult, I don't want to have to undress in front of a nude man that I don't know who this man is. Why would we want that for our girls? So she is so wrong for Virginia. She is absolutely radical. We cannot have her. She's an activist. She's not governor material.
But this is a national issue that President Trump won on against Democrats. I mean, I would think that she would pick something else, because if it didn't work for your candidates nationally, I don't know how it could work against the lieutenant governor of Virginia. But another key issue in your race is sanctuary status. Another thing where Trump won on this. Democrat Spanberger says she will roll back current Governor Glenn Youngkin's order requiring local police to help enforce federal immigration law. She calls it a waste of resources. The governor fired back.
She has clearly said that she is going to make Virginia a sanctuary state. She can't walk this back through an aide. That's where she stands. We all know it, and that's why this election is so important. This is a referendum on Virginians' public safety. Winsome Earle-Sears will keep you safe. Abigail Spanberger will not.
Again, part of a national conversation that we're having, and all eyes on Virginia. What do you say?
Yeah, I mean, I think the first objective of a governor is to ensure the safety and security of the residents of Virginia. And so, you wonder, where is this woman coming from with these ideas that are so far left? And yet the mainstream media would try to paint her as, well, a moderate. None of her ideas are moderate, because she voted to keep the borders open. And you know what happened? Fentanyl flooded in, and it killed 5 Virginians just about every week. We cannot have her. She has voted for sanctuary cities. She's voted against the Lake and Riley Act, which simply said, if you're criminally legally here, you've got to go home, because you wanted an opportunity, you said, for a better life. But in Virginia, you're taking an opportunity to prey on us. You've got to go home. This is not hard. This woman is an activist. We cannot have her. And by the way, because of the partnership we have with the federal government, we've found over 4,000 criminals illegally in Virginia. They are now in some form of deportation status. I know how to protect Virginians. I've been doing the work. Abigail, where have you been?
Lieutenant Governor Winsome Earle, it is amazing. It is amazing to hear you talk about wanting to put people in danger and having that be across the ticket from you. It is great to have you in focus. Earle-Sears running for governor of that state. We will follow it by every moment. Please come back. Thank you.
WinsomeForGovernor.com.
There you go. All right.
After Kirk's murder in Utah, Spanberger said she and her husband, Adam, were praying for his family and the Orem community, adding that disagreements over policy, perspectives, or even worldviews should never lead to violence.